Many centuries passed. In the land of Typhus, there ruled a king by the name of Lucian Feridoro. History remembers him as a just king, yet sullen. He had a bright youth, followed by a glorious adulthood. The early part of his reign saw victory in battle and prosperity within his kingdom. Years came and went. His children grew and founded glories and families of their own. King Lucian possessed everything a man could wish. As time passed, his beard faded to gray, and with it went the brightness from his eyes and the smile from his lips. Eventually, not a soul could seem to remember the sound of his laughter. His wife, Queen Corina, loved him dearly. She came to him one day and asked, "Why does my king never smile?" He replied, "After looking upon diamonds for the length of a lifetime, a man can but see them as mere rocks." But to have wealth, family, and honor of name is a great thing, said the queen. And to maintain these possessions is greater still. The king could find no untruth in her words. "My dear love, you speak true. It was never my intention to disregard such blessings. I shall resolve to take my abundance for granted no more." Yet, by the very next day, the king's resolve had already crumbled to dust. He sat his throne in court, hearing the pleas of accused criminals and the requests of noble lords, all the while ever slipping into his lull. It was no use to pretend otherwise. A life without want was also a life without meaning. Queen Corina, however, was an observant woman. She knew of one joy King Lucian still harbored: the tiger butterfly. She had watched him many times during late spring, in the month of the dancing tree, when the butterflies would visit the castle. The king was always filled with such content upon seeing them in the royal garden, and with their wings of onyx and amber fluttering as they danced, from milkweed flowers to honeysuckle vines to black cherry blossoms. She knew these little creatures brought him delight, and so decided to have a special gift made for him. The queen called upon the master goldsmith of the castle. She explained to him her concept and commanded he craft the piece at once. He was honored to be of service. For over a week, the artisan labored at the delicate task. Once he was finished, he came before the queen and presented her with the work of art she had commissioned. A butterfly made from gold, roughly the same size as her hand. The man's skill at metalcraft was unmatched, and the golden butterfly was one of his finest works. Its gilded wings gleamed with a bright shine and were studded with amber stones, and its head was complete with a pair of ruby eyes and 2 dainty antennae. The queen was very pleased. She went to her husband and presented him the gift. "My king, my beloved, may this token let you always remember happiness." The king looked upon the golden butterfly, but gave no sign of appreciation. In fact, he frowned. "Dear one," said the queen, "does it not please you?" He answered her with a cold voice, "Woman, do you not understand? The butterflies bring me joy because I cannot have them. I am allowed to savor their beauty and free spirit for but a single month of the year." The queen, hoping to find a solution, suggested, When they come this year, I could have a gardener collect some for you. If I capture them, they will surely die, he shouted. And do not think I would mount their corpses alongside the heads of stags and bears on the walls of my great hall. You love them so? I love them because they are temporary. With tears in her eyes, Queen Corina walked away, golden butterfly in hand. She understood now. If the king accepted this gift, it would simply sit on a shelf, collecting dust alongside myriad other treasures and trinkets. Gold had long since lost its worth to Lucian, and she feared she had as well. Soon after, the queen devised a new plan. She had heard the stories of a warlock who dwelt in the woodlands just beyond the castle walls and city gates. With precious coin and courtly favors, she bought any secret she could as to his whereabouts. When at last she obtained the location of the fell magician's lair, she rode into the dark Vale forest, alone and in guise of a commoner. His home was a tiny, ruined keep, hidden away within a tangle of thorn trees. The caws of crows and hoots of owls greeted her approach. She had to lead her mount on foot, as the horse was rather frightened, not unlike the queen herself. As she reached out to knock at the door, it swung open on its own. I am expecting you, a voice echoed from within. Come inside. Corina was trembling as she walked a shadowed hallway and came before the warlock. How did you know I was to come? She asked. That is of no import, the warlock grinned. The question be, for what have you come, O queen? She showed him the golden butterfly. I wish to give life to this creation. I have heard the stories. They say you are able to work wonders of magic. As your queen, thus I command you. Do so, and I shall allow you to live out the remainder of your blasphemous days. On this I give you my word. The warlock considered her words. And from where would this life come? What do you mean? One cannot create something from nothing. And life, why, that is a powerful thing indeed. So again you are asked, from where would this life come? Give me a night to think upon this, replied Corina. I shall return on the morrow. The next day, the queen returned as she said she would. In her hand she carried a cage. Warlock, I have brought a songbird from Castle Belseth. Her melodies are sweet as cherries on a summer morn. She handed him the mew. A songbird. He studied the dainty little bird, hopping and chirping gleefully in the cage. I must ask of you a night to do what must be done. Leave the animal and the golden idol with me, then return as you did. Heeding his words, the queen went back to the castle. That night she dreamt of her wedding day. How happy she had been when Lucian and her had been bound in the blessed union. She longed to feel the flame of his heart once again. Upon returning to the warlock, she found him shaking his head. Did it not work? Asked the queen, though she already knew the answer. A songbird is a sweet thing, responded the man. But its spirit is weak. It is a creature of hollow bones and soft feathers. Something greater is needed. I did not ask for a great spirit, she objected, only that the butterfly be able to prance and flit through the air. This which you speak, it is life nonetheless, he stated. And to call life to dwell within a metal thing is a terrible challenge. What more is needed? Perhaps your horse may suffice. Tawny? My mare? Corina was distraught at the prospect. But I have had her for years. I'm so fond of her. Yes? Awaited the warlock. I could not bear for her to be killed. I shall bring you a different horse. We have plenty at the stable house of the castle. Why bring a beast for which you care not? You're just as well to fetch another songbird. His gaze was piercing. Life exists most in that which you cherish. How would I return without my mount? On foot? Night would fall long before I reached the city. It would be dangerous. Such is the way of the world. Where peril threatens to take life away, there does it beat strongest. He looked at the woman before him, dressed in a peasant's garb, but bearing the face of a noble. Yet, we should remain practical. I have a spare chamber, which you are welcome to. His finger pointed toward a crumbling section at the far side of the keep. The queen looked at Tawny and shared a sadness. Then it is a price I am willing to pay. Anything to bring the stars back to Lucian's eyes. That night, her dreams were dark. Her slumbering mind was filled with images of beasts being taken to slaughter and shadows dancing in the light of a crimson moon. She cried out for Lucian, but when she found him, he was only a statue. Her tears came as drops of blood, and her red fluid ran over the stony body of her king husband. Then his granite eyes opened and looked upon her. The chamber door flung open, wrenching Corina from her feverish dreams. A chilling night wind whipped into the room. She saw the silhouette of the warlock standing in the doorway. It has failed again. His voice rose over the gusts. My mare was strong, answered the queen with a shaking voice. She was vibrant and well-tended. How could this be? Life is such a difficult thing to wrest hold of, my queen. He stepped forward. How can you expect me to catch such small, fleeting spirits? It is like trying to capture grains on the wind. I do not know what more I could give you. Panic gripped her as she noticed the dagger in his hand. It had a snake-like blade and was coated in blood. You have given me your word, as I now give you mine, he howled. Corina pleaded as the warlock drew near. She tried to flee, but he grabbed her and held her down. Her cries were a grim music to the dancing shadows. The last thing she saw were the fires, the witch lights burning in his eyes. The queen's disappearance put the folk of Belseth lore into a craze. The news spread across the countryside, and before long the whole kingdom was in distress. King Lucian called upon any capable man to search for his missing wife. Knights, sellswords, woodsmen, and black blades alike scoured the city, as well as the dark vale beyond. An experienced scout was able to track the hoofprints of the queen's horse through the forest. The trail led a search party to a ruined keep, but no trace of Corina was found. Months passed, and the winter snows fell upon the land. The king, along with his people, went into mourning. Bells tolled for the passing of Queen Corina, and thousands of prayers were offered up to the Divine Father, asking that her soul be guided on its journey through the underworld into the celestial realm beyond. Spring came, and the frosts thawed, and the realm began to bloom anew. One clear morning in the month of the dancing tree, King Lucian was strolling through the royal garden. The tigerflies had come for their short, seasonal visit. He watched their flits and chases, feeling a small beam of cheer for the first moment in some time. Arrays of color were ripe in the flower beds. Dew sparkled on countless scented petals. As the king looked to the eastern wall, there, hovering over the vine-riddled stone, came a butterfly with wings of gilded, amber-crusted gold and ruby eyes that gleamed at him in the sunlight.